You're listening to The Upland Rookie, a podcast presented by Upland Brits. What's going on, rookies, and welcome to episode 28 of the Upland Rookie Podcast. I'm your host, Will Larson, and as always, this is presented by Upland Brits. Also brought to you by Eukanuba Sporting Dog. If you want to get everything your dog's got, then you need nutrition that holds nothing back. To unleash your dog's maximum potential, check out Eukanuba's premium performance lineup at eukanubasportingdog.com. Also brought to you by Trinity Bretons. Trinity is now offering the Trinity Upland Academy to help each Trinity Breton client attain and develop the highest level of training available with George Hickox. Trinity also offers puppies, stud service, and started dogs. Check them out at trinitybretons.com. Also brought to you by Gunner Kennels. At Gunner, they're proud to say that they've helped keep thousands of pets safe on the road because every detail of their crate is designed and tested in real-world conditions for the invested dog owner. Man's best friend deserves man's best kennel. That's a Gunner Kennel. Hey, don't forget, Pointer Traditions, if you're looking for bird straps to carry around your, say, waterfowl, your upland game, check out Pointer Traditions. Also, if you're looking for a new dog collar, I'm rocking some custom-sized collars on both of my Brits, and I freaking love them. Great collars, great quality, great customer service. Use code ROOKIE15 at checkout to save 15% off your order with Pointer Traditions. So we're going to jump in. I don't have too much on this opening for this week. I have kind of a long episode coming up for you with Anna V from Anna V Outdoors. It's hard to summarize this episode, not gonna lie. There is so much good stuff here. We go in a lot of different directions, talking short hairs, labs, bird dog competition, training, a little bit of genetics. There's a little bit of everything in this episode, and I hope you guys enjoy this one. But we are officially in November. Cannot believe we are in November already. I did miss, I don't know if you saw some social media posts this weekend, I did miss the Nebraska opener, which I was pretty bummed about. Had a work event, which was awesome. But yeah, missed the opener. So I will be making some plans. I'm trying to get out there. It's not going to work this week. This weekend, I have a NASTRA event I'm running gauge in. So this weekend's taken up with that. So realistically, probably the weekend after. So anyways, I have to wait a little bit to get out and chase wild birds, but I'm very excited for my first NASTRA event with Gauger Boy. We're running both Saturday and Sunday, and we'll see what it's all about. I'm excited. I think I don't know. We'll see how he does. I'm not going to make any predictions. I just think how he runs, some of his traits, I think he's going to do real well in this, but we'll see. It's going to be my first time doing an event like this. I've done some hunt tests before, but this definitely is going to be different. So wish us luck. I'll keep you guys posted on how that event goes, but I'll be running with Andy Taylor. He'll be down there. And I think CJ is going to be there. He's a NASTRA guy here in my region. But anyways, that's kind of what's on the docket for me. That's really all I got for you guys. I know we're coming up into the holidays here. November, we got Thanksgiving, Christmas coming. God willing, I'm planning to try to get an episode out every week, except Thanksgiving week. I won't do one that week, and I won't do one probably Christmas week or New Year's week, just to kind of just set the expectations for you guys up front. I'll be traveling a little bit over the holidays and that, and so won't be doing episodes over the holidays. But I'll try to get an episode out every week. That is the goal still. But just give me some grace. We got just a busy season, work, family, kids, all that stuff. So if there's a week that you don't see an episode drop on Tuesday morning, don't freak out. It's coming. So anyways, guys, I hope you're having a great kickoff to your season. That's really all I got for you right now. Just want to mention, if you guys could still, if you haven't already, maybe if you've been thinking about doing it, head over to Apple Podcasts, leave a rating and review. I'd love to read those, see how this podcast is impacting you, what you're gaining from it. It's also going to help the podcast reach more hunters just like you. So Apple Podcasts, leave a rating and a little written review. I'll definitely read that. And that's it. All right, guys, we're going to jump into episode 28 with Anna V from Anna V Outdoors. Enjoy.
I'm Southern, so one little story could lead to the other, and then we forget where we started.
Go down the rabbit hole. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, that's cool. Well, awesome. We'll just we'll jump right in. So Anna, put us on the map. Where are you located?
Right now I'm in Wisconsin.
Okay. And are you from Wisconsin or?
No,
okay.
Georgia, but Wisconsin's home away from home. And then we've got we're headed to South Dakota in 2 days. And from there we'll hit North Dakota, and then we'll come back here, and then we'll be home for Thanksgiving.
Very nice. And what's in South Dakota for you?
Well, this trip's going to be Ringneck Festival in Huron. One of my favorite events ever. I cannot wait to get back to see everybody. Yeah, and then just a quick personal trip up to North Dakota before we head back.
Okay, very nice.
Yeah.
Will you get any North Dakota hunting in, or just personal fan? Okay.
Yep.
I was gonna say, if you go to North Dakota, you better be able to hunt a little bit.
Oh no, I'll have a trailer full of dogs. Mike will have a trailer full of dogs, and yeah, there's no end to that.
That's good. That's good.
We'll determine when we end.
Yeah, there you go. That's awesome. Well, you said it's snowing in Wisconsin today, right?
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, it's been cold, and it really got cold over the last 2 days. And then it just started spitting snow. We're running errands, and there's just so much going on. It's like, oh, seriously, the wind and the snow is when you want to pack.
Yeah, no fun. I grew up in Chicago, so I understand those Midwest winters and cold temps and all that good stuff.
Yeah, turns on a dime.
It does. Yeah. Colorado has its own pros and cons. It can turn on a dime, which is a con, but mostly it's sunny and nice, which is good. But so we're going to jump into actually deer season, because you mentioned that right before we hit recording. Deer season.
More.
You're what?
I'm not a deer hunter anymore.
Okay.
I'm not opposed to it. I just don't make time for it. Right. So there's just two different things with that. But okay. So the cool thing about like Georgia is, I just never really am in Georgia during deer season, right? Because birds take me away from Georgia. So my family has always been deer hunters and turkey hunters. So I grew up in that world. But then when I got my first dog, then the dog ruled, and then my entire life changed to work all around the dogs. And then one dog led to another dog, led to another dog. Now I have too many dogs. But I don't know if you can ever have too many dogs, but
no.
So anyway, don't make time for it in Georgia at all. But being here in Wisconsin, they have legal shining from sunset to 10 o'clock. So that has been so much fun for us. Like the kids love going and we're all involved. So it's like the funnest thing to see what's nocturnal, what's moving around at night that you would never see during the day or whatever, and there's a lot of public land hunting here that we grouse hunt in and all that stuff that are just right here around the house.
Yeah.
So we ride those same roads and look for deer. And I just have found it to be so much fun. Like it probably gets people really stirred up to get in the stand where I'm just having fun going out. Now, last year I got more into coon hunting.
Really?
We were out going deer shining. Yes, I just think that's so much fun. I love hunting.
Real quick. So for those that don't know, I might know what deer shining is, but can you explain that?
Okay. So from like during the dark hours up until 10 o'clock, there are, sometimes it could be a lot of traffic and sometimes you're the only one out there, but everybody's riding the roads, shining their spotlights in the field, looking for deer. Yeah. And it is the craziest thing to think this is legal coming from the South, right? Because it's not in the South. So it's a family thing up here. So it's like, cool. How many kids pack? We're all riding dirt roads and we're going to crank up the old country station. And it's not just a weekend thing. We do it during the week and you've got like all the kids are like, are we going shining? Are we going shining? Like keep the light in the truck. And
that is a new term. I've not heard that.
Yeah. So it was a new thing to me too. And so I was like, well, I can really see how you get the buy-in of the excitement of the season, right? Because you can't send a deer stand all the time, but if you're coming home from Walmart and it's dark, well, you get these kids pumped up to get outdoors, right? And so I have just found it to be just the most entertaining thing ever. So, they have a very short rifle season here, which is very different than when I'm, my background in Georgia or whatever, something like, 10 days or something. It's really short. So we do this for a long period of time. And so it's just exciting just to see what's here.
That is really cool. Well, you touched on your dogs a little bit and just kind of how bird dogs really kind of take over and big game now or deer hunting kind of can become second nature. And I'm not knocking big game hunting. It's huge here in Colorado. I've tried it a couple times, but like you said, once you start getting dogs and adding them, it just kind of takes over.
Well, it does. And like I was a horse girl first. And then when I got my dogs, then that emotional, dependency that you have on that one animal kind of got shifted to the dog. The dog's with me all the time, right? So maybe it's just my personality too, to be all in with whatever I'm doing. So if I was a big game hunter, I would be like all into that, right? So then I probably wouldn't have time for a dog because can't always take a dog with you with that, right? So so that's just kind of what happened in my world because nobody in my family was really a shotgunner or ever had a bird dog. It was just one of those things that bit me in the butt and I jumped in with both feet. So it really was life-changing. It's molded the way that I parent. Like my oldest daughter's in South Georgia in school. And so she gets to be in the heart of quail country and they do a lot of duck hunting down on the coast down there too. But she's got so involved with Ducks Unlimited and with SCI in Georgia. And so on the policy side, so maybe she's not as gung-ho about working with the dogs and all these things like me and Tater are, but she's still so connected to this world because we've always had the dogs in the house, right? So, they're just always there. It's just a part of our everyday life. It's who our friends are. We just kind of became obsessed about it. And I can't get out of it. Like, there's no way I'd walk away now. Yeah.
Well, they do. In a good way, I always say, in a good way, they suck you in. There's so many good activities and hobbies and hunting out there that you do kind of have to. I know people who do it. They multiply and they do a little bit of everything, which is awesome. But if you want to do something really well, you sometimes got to pick your battles a little bit. And so I can totally relate to that.
And then the people are just so addicting too. In the bird world. So, we haven't been going to the conventions like we had forever, that just kind of got put on halt. And so I'm missing people. I'm missing people conventions brought into my life. And we have those traditions. And so, the tournament world keeps my schedule on a certain path. So I'm looking forward to those conventions getting cranked back up and pausing and seeing those people that really held my hand to get me to where I am.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. I bet. Well, so we kind of jumped right in. We started hearing a little bit of everything. I love it. Give us a quick overview. I know you're in Wisconsin. I know you have a connection to Georgia still, correct? You have.
Yeah.
So just give us like the 2-minute, like, who is Anna V? Catch us up and we'll kind of dive off from there.
Okay, well, like I said, I got Mercy. She was my first short hair, and so she's still on the trailer. And I am from Georgia. I'm from Northeast Georgia, and so, like I said, I grew up hunting, and I started a ladies shooting business, but it really wasn't started as a business. It was really like friends saying, "Hey, you take your girls." Well, at that time, JC was she was the only girl. Tater wasn't born yet, but you're hunting with her and she's shooting. Will you teach my kid, or will you teach me? Like, we want to do this. And so literally this culture just evolved. So I was doing like I'd always done, right? Deer hunting and taking them on turkey hunts. And so we ended up landing a great relationship with a lodge that I don't think exists anymore over in Alabama. So we were going over there and we were having the time of our lives. And I was doing pistol basics, and that just opened one door after another. Well, then I was introduced to Ducks Unlimited in Gainesville. And so that committee asked me to host a shotgun day. And I was like, well, sure. I mean, gun safety, I can rock gun safety. I can do this. Well, I was not a very successful clay shooter at the time, but I was like, I can keep everybody safe. Sure. And we had a gorgeous private place to go shoot and everything. So the event booked out, we had a waiting list, all this stuff. And then I get there and I was like, deer in headlights. Okay. At the end of the day, the whole point was just make sure everybody stays safe, because I can't make them successful. And it was a major pause in my career when I look back now, because up until then, I'd done everything that I'd been raised in. So everything was second nature. And I'm like, well, I'll just pick up a gun and go shoot, right? And it didn't work that way. So I went back to those guys and I said, listen, okay, I'm an epic failure and y'all almost outed me. So I was like, we got to find me a coach or I can't do this again. Yeah. And so needless to say, through a couple of referrals, I landed my coach, Demas, and met with him. And the man changed my life. And I absolutely love telling this story now that I've gone through the trenches and came out on the other side. But when we first started, I had no idea what I was in for. And it was really like God just put me in the shotgun world where I didn't know anything. And I had no idea that the training, the mental management training that I was going to go through was going to mold me into the person that I always wanted to be. And I had no idea how to be that person. Right. So, and I'm not even talking about a bird hunter, just a successful, confident, conscientious parent, all the things that we strive to be, right? Like, how do we get there? How do we get there? Well, we do the journey of life, but we have choices on how we react to things that happen to us or whatever. And he was the gift that gave me the positive outlook and the knowledge where I wasn't always making mistakes on my own and learning the hard way. Right.
And this was a wing shooting coach that you guys worked with? Okay.
He's my best friend now. We spent so much time together, but this was back in 2016. So I had my first lesson with him in April, and I was so overwhelmed and speechless when I left there, because not only did he show me like the coolest things and his method of shooting, like he just totally blew my mind with all of this. We also outed how many issues I had with gun fit and eye dominance and I was a hot mess. Now at this point, I had been wing shooting some, I forgot this, but I wasn't a clay shooter. I had Mercy and I was running UFTA. That's another tournament organization down south, is prominently down south. And I was terrible and I absolutely loved it. And it was the time of my life. And I was like the laughing, joke of the day. I was the only female running back then in Georgia. And I just had this firecracker dog. And so anyways, that's when I knew okay, I know gun safety on a shotgun, right? But to actually coach somebody the way that I was going to be taught how to coach, I was clueless about. And so meeting Demas and going through this whole thing, which he's a tax attorney business coach. So he has a whole nother professional career. He's not a full-time wing shooting coach. He has his own really cool story about how he got involved in it. And that was through big game hunting in Africa, hunting lions. So anyways, we all kind of came together by accident, but it created a full circle, Wow. And it's really cool when you have those stories meeting people, because your investment in what you're doing is so much deeper than the reason that you came, right? So I came to be better a wing shooter. At that time, I had no real intentions of being, predominantly a wing shooting instructor or coach.
Sure. You just wanted to get a little better at it so that you could kind of help others and show them some of the basics and
talk about conservation and get limited, and let's raise some money for more land. I mean, I really didn't have any goals with that, except for the fact that I was terrible. And as competitive as I am, I don't like being terrible at anything. So that was literally my first motive, was like, I don't know how to do this, but I need to. And there was no depth to it whatsoever. So when this man walks up and he's like so calm and collected, and I'm so like bouncing off the walls and loud and all this stuff, it was just so hilarious to see us together. But we are like immediate best friends. And I'm just so grateful that he recognized potential in me and that he invested in me like he did, because I would have never known what I would have missed if he hadn't done that. Right.
Sure.
So needless to say, I ended up getting homework to read a book called With Winning in Mind, written by Lanny Bassam. And he was an Olympic rifle shooter, and he put a mental management program together. They do a lot of pro athlete coaching, business coaching. So I've been trained through that program, which I would say is probably like the best gift that my wing shooting instructor ever gave me. So I love my shooting skills, right? My shooting skills sets me apart a lot in the lifestyle that I live right now. But if I didn't have that mental strength to go with that and back that up, it would not be as successful, right? So my skills would crack because my mental management wouldn't be strong enough to carry it.
Absolutely. That makes sense.
Right. So let's just say I shot with him 5-6 days a week for 2.5 years. So there was a lot. I mean, we could talk hours.
There's a lot of commitment and like you said, mental pressure and dedication that's coming with that. It's not just about go out, shoot a couple clays and be done.
No, it wasn't like that at all. And what he did, like, he knew I didn't know anything, and he taught me how to be a champion. And I didn't even know that was a goal, and I didn't even know that he was doing it. No idea. But within 14 months, I was a state champion at super sporting. And I even like now I think back, I'm like, how did I even make that? How did I have the time? How did I have the commitment? I mean, I was driving an hour and a half over a mountain each way.
My gosh. What was the driving factor for you to keep going after it? Like what kept you motivated to keep going?
So addictive. The personal growth that I was gaining under his coaching was so addictive that I had to go. Like, I had to go shoot with him. I had shooting clients. Like, there would be times where he would have shooting clients, I would have shooting clients, then we would shoot together. So I was spending like full days at the course. Like, after I got my feet wet and I went through my certification with the NSCA, and that's a whole nother story too. Oh my God. I aced that because, of course, I was prepared, and I had to jump through the hoops, and I was the only female. And boy, did they make me, they made sure I knew I was the only female there, but that's okay.
Oh gosh.
It's okay because I was trained for it.
And what organization is that? You said N what?
Well, it's not a reflection of the organization. It was the instructor.
Okay. But that's a certain certification though, right?
Yeah. There's a certification in clay instructors, and there's multiple ones. Okay. That organization that I went with, there's different schools, shooting schools that you can go and get certified through. Now, however, I don't teach that because I teach wing shooting, and I really prefer the Churchill method. So I've read a lot of books, and luckily I've got, some British connections. And so that's really how that's developed on that side. But yeah, I mean, when you find that person in your life, like, God's going to send you a person. And I'm not saying like you're a person, like your spouse or your person, but he's going to send you that person that's going to give you a gift that's going to change your life. And I was just so grateful that I recognized it and that I maximized it, because when I look back, it really was for me by accident, but it wasn't by accident. You know, he gives me a gift, and luckily we talk almost every single day. So I'm constantly texting him like, thank you so much for investing in me, because I love my life. Like I love what I do, whether it's, you know, the hunting tournaments or it's the dog training, or like we're going to this event next week and I get to share these stories. It's like, I want people to know there's nothing special about my story except for the fact that I said yes. Some people miss their opportunity just because they don't take it. Right. So, and I just encourage like people to listen to my story, be motivated and encouraged by my story to go create their own.
I love that. And so, so do you think, so this whole, so the whole wing shooting stuff you started to, you know, enter into, to this with, is that when, you know, bird dogs and upland hunting, did that kind of all take off because of this, or was that happening already before?
No, well, I mean, I was the absolute worst tournament hunter that has ever walked the face of the planet first.
Okay.
And the addiction of that competition. So if you're not familiar with tournament hunting.
I'm not at all.
Okay. This is a really cool thing for bird dog owners, because you create these bonds with your dog, right? And it's really fun to go hunt wild birds. And I love that too. But I come from a very competitive family background. So everything was a competition.
Nice.
So this just gets me so geeked up. A bird dog tournament, like a hunting tournament, is a field, and that would be, the acreage would be based on the organization pretty much, and or the tournament itself. Some of the fields are a lot bigger than others, and these rules will vary within organizations. Okay. So it could vary with the bird type that you're hunting or the amount of birds in the field, whatever. But these are the rules that overlay on all of them. When it's your turn to hunt, when it's your turn to run your dog, you're going to go into a blind. You're going to have bird planters. They plant the field. Sometimes it's based off a plant card. Sometimes it's a random thing. So you have no idea where it's going. Okay. Then you go to the line and you have a judge, and this is on the clock. Some of them actually you get style points and other things, and it's not necessarily a timed event. But I run a timed event because I got ruined with judge opinions in the horse. I don't want none of that. You know, this is me and my dog, and how good are we? You know, that kind of thing. Not how pretty are we, how good are we? That kind of thing. Okay. So it's timed event. So we go up to the line, and when, like we said, hunt them up. Okay. And then clock starts. So my game with the BDC now, currently, we plant 5 chucker. So I have to bag 5 chucker in about, like, let's say an average of a 12-acre field, in the shortest amount of time using the least amount of shells. And that's on the point side and the flushing side. Okay. So that's how that rolls. And it is a blast.
And this is its own circuit, right? It's not connected to AKC or anything like that.
Nope. It's its own circuit. It's its own organization. Now the AKC does recognize our titles, so that's really nice.
Nice.
Yeah. So it is just a blast. So, you know, I mean, you just take your dog and you have this super close bond with your dog, and it's crazy because they know the difference. They know if you're just going hunting wild birds.
Oh yeah, they
know
can
if
tell.
It's like game. Yes, and then
they know.
Oh my goodness, it's so exciting.
That is so cool.
I fell in love with that, and I was a tournament hunter before I was a wild bird hunter.
Okay.
So that the person that got me involved with short hairs, they were a tournament hunter, and they had been a very close family friend my whole life. So I just got sucked into the competition side of the bird dog world before I even knew the whole scope of what was available for a bird hunter. Right. So, I mean, everything was so new. So that happened. So I was like the worst bird hunter. And then I was a terrible clay shooter, and I got a better clay shooter. And then I won something. And then I needed another gun because I couldn't find a good gun that fit. And then the perfect gun belonged to my coach. He had won his first tournament with it, so he wasn't going to let me take it from him. Right. So then I go to CZ because that was a CZ gun. And I end up with an interview with them. So I end up shooting for them for a while. And we were trying to think of this, like so much seemed to happen at once that it's hard for me to keep this timeline. So
that's okay. It can be confusing. I get it.
It is confusing because I had so many multiple things going on at once, but I'm pretty sure that my first pheasant hunt was filming with Gundog TV. And I took Mercy, and Dolly was just a little bitty puppy then. And those guys are so awesome. I got to do that for 2 seasons with them, pheasant hunt with them. And during that time is when I started hosting hunts and doing more wing shooting stuff and working with kids with like 4-H teams. So yeah, seemed like every weekend I was somewhere either hunting myself or teaching somebody how to be a hunter. And so my kids got drugged there, and then they caught the bug, and then everybody ended up with their own dog. And so it just kind of took us by storm. And like done some really cool stuff with Pheasants Forever and Quail Forever. And then JC served on their National Leadership Council before she graduated high school. And Tater's done some really cool things with them. And then I got connected to SCI, and SCI is like, man, we really need better outreach of what we do. And my whole thing has been like, as a hunter, it's really important that we pay attention to what's going on with policy with our world.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's so easy to get caught up in our bubble and not have any idea what's going on. Right. So, whether it be something crazy like somebody's against our training collars or whatever. I mean, really in the upland world, we don't have to worry about very much right now. But as a hunter, just because I don't hunt a certain species doesn't mean that I don't care about the right to do so.
Sure. That's a good point.
So just as a gun activist and a hunter, I've always shared how we need to be proactive and know what's going on. Yeah. So then I hear about SCI and SCI's mission of, first for hunters, and the fact that they're fighting for our hunting rights, and they have a legal team. They're doing that all the time, but they don't ignore our need for habitat and conservation, which are 2 totally different things, right? Mm-hmm. Because we could have tons of habitat and no hunting rights. Well,
sure. Okay, yeah.
And people don't realize that not every habitat or conservation organization is actually actively fighting for their hunting rights too. So you can't just be sold out to one thing.
Yeah, like you got to hold both and because they go together.
Who's doing what? And everybody has their niche, and you got to figure out, okay, what's my calling, and how important is it that I make sure that I keep my hunting rights? Yeah. And for me, that was like number one, because when all the political stuff went down, I said, listen, I'm all about my hunting rights, and you can answer to Jesus for the rest, that's where I stand on all this. So, it was just really cool thing to be able to meet them and get really involved in Georgia SCI and realize how many big game hunters are bird hunters too.
Yeah. Those are a huge number.
Yeah. And then the ag world overlaps with that too, so much with, ranch owners and stuff that are upland hunters. So it was really cool to see everything from my past kind of collide. And I guess that was another reason why this world sucks me in. Like I said, it's the people, like these relationships we build. It keeps me here. So
yeah. Well, yeah, it sounds like those bird dog competitions you started doing, or hunting competitions, kind of also, started with wing shooting, then competitions really kind of propelled you into this world even deeper, which is pretty darn cool. Quick thing on I have 2 things I want to circle back on actually. One, random. So the competitions you're doing with the hunting with the dogs and stuff, is that also known as like bird dog wars? There's a show on YouTube about it. Is that
the bird dog rules? It was. So bird dog wars ran for, I don't know, maybe like 5 or 6 years, but that was like, of course, pre me. Okay. I didn't start until it was 2020, but it was the 2019 nationals.
Gotcha.
So that
is it the same format you're talking about of what you ran in? Okay.
So if you've seen that,
that was a great show. I love that. I wish they did more.
Oh, hey, well, the blast. So some of the dogs that I run were actually on that show.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
That's super cool. Okay. Okay. Now backing up even a little further, we talked on wing shooting. I can't get around wing shooting with talking to you a little bit more about that.
Okay.
So when you went to the shooting instructor that you worked with, your mentor,
Right.
what were some of the things, I'm just curious, what were some of the things he started to work with you on and identify that were issues for you?
Okay. So, well, like the shooting aspect of it was probably an easier fix than the mental side.
Okay.
So, like I said, I had horrible gun fit, which is a massive thing. Like people can instantly increase their success with having the right gun. So anybody has questions about that, they can message me directly and then we can identify their specific issues or questions about that. So that's about that. Then eye dominance. So there's a very high percentage of females that have like a dominant eye issue. So, when you do your little triangle and you look through at a specific point and you close one eye and then you open it and then you close the other eye, one eye is going to allow that object to stay in the center of your triangle. If you do the little hand thing. Okay. Well, anyways, sometimes it could be one eye for me and some days it could be the other one. So I had to pick. And so we went through all of that. And then, because you're supposed to keep both eyes open and all this stuff. So there was like hurdles of getting me to where I would find consistency. Okay. Because consistency is the name of the game with shotgunning, right? And so that was just the hurdle through that, was just actually like finding the right gun that I had the confidence in and finding that consistency of building my strength. Of I was a lefty. I'm a right-handed person, but I shoot left. Okay. And actually it's so crazy because both of my girls are the exact same way.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So, yeah. So if you find inconsistency and you feel like your eyes are dead on, but you're not hitting the target, then it could be a very simple fix. And I just hate it that people get frustrated through that process and don't realize it. So people get frustrated. They're like, well, you don't know how to fix it because they know their eye is dead on the target, but they're not hitting the target. And that will cause people to quit if they don't find the solution, right? Sure. So I go to those two things, your eye dominant issue and your gun fit issue, because if your gun's not aligned with your eye, it's not going to hit where your eye is looking. And so it sounds really simple, but you just need to pick up as many guns as you can. And if you actually get to shoot them, that's even better. Before you pick one, there's a lot of great guns out there, but there may not.
A lot of people just go, I did it with the guns. I saw a gun, I held it. I was like, all right, I'll take this one. Yeah. I think it fits me well. I hit stuff with it. So. Right.
I know. And a lot of men can get away with that, but there's a lot of times that a female picks one up and they're like, this is a million times better than everything I've ever shot. So, it's just educating them about that knowledge so that they don't get frustrated and give up before they find that solution.
Yeah. Is that, so you teach currently still, right? Do you teach?
I do a little. Yeah.
Okay. Well, is that kind of the biggest issue you see with people that are coming to you? Is that kind of the biggest thing you work on right up front, is figuring out fit, consistency, or are there other things that come up?
Yeah. So we did a clinic this summer, and we had like 30 people here for 2 days, and we did all about handle clinic, like handling your dog. We did the training program, and then how to handle your dog, and shooting and handling together, and then putting people in the field and teaching them how to handle the dog in the field and read a field. So we do that summer here in Wisconsin. It's a lot of fun. The first thing we do, right, is go through and I go through and make sure that everybody's shooting the right gun for them. Make sure that what they brought, gives them the best opportunity. So yeah, we could preach brands all day long, but I can only testify for what works for me.
Sure.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. And you touched on this too, both eyes open, right? When you shoot a shotgun.
You're supposed to, but it doesn't always that way for subject for people, but there's Olympic shooters that they don't. And, wing shooting is different. On the clay course or on the trap field, you're going to get people that put dots on their eyes or smudge them with chapstick, but I don't think that's safe in the bird field, depending on the terrain you're in and all this stuff. So we make accommodations based on specific purposes.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know ever since I started bird hunting, I always close one eye. And I did fine. I had no issues with it. And it wasn't up until maybe about 2 years ago. I was going through this weird streak of not hitting anything. I was terrible at clays, terrible at birds. And I was like, maybe I'm going to try both eyes open. Great now. Both eyes open. It's helped my accuracy a little bit. And so I don't know if there's any, it kind of sounds like a personal preference, really.
Well, I think it's going to be how you learn. Most of the time people are going to resort back to that. But if you're having issues because of an eye dominance issue, like I was talking about, if one eye gets fatigued and the other eye takes over, then, that could cause an issue and it could cause you to miss. Like there's just things that if you're not aware to look for, then you may not understand how to correct it. Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. So the other thing that Demas talked about and I was telling you about was the mental management side.
Yeah.
Just, like you go through life and I was in my 30s when I picked up a shotgun. So you've lived a little, you've gained some baggage and maybe like whatever you've dealt with in life, you don't realize when you get into hardcore shooting and you have to go into your subconscious and you got to learn to turn your brain off and all these things. It's just like some people have the gift and some people's brains run wide open 1,000,000 miles an hour on 50 channels. And that just happened to be me. So I had a lot of personal growth with him. And I would say it probably just simplified my life. And I'm an only child and I have great parents that encourage you to go do whatever you want to do and have these super high expectations. And, it was one of those things where when I'd gone to school to do certain things, and then at the end of the day, I was a master's dropout because I wanted to be a shooter. I had to explain that one.
Yeah. How'd that go?
Yeah. And so, just going through that whole process said, it is okay to accept my calling and my purpose in life. And this is what I want to do. And I really feel like God placed these people in my life. This is what I'm supposed to, like how I'm supposed to serve, right? This is what I'm supposed to leave. And so once I felt confident in owning that, then my shooting just got so much better. Like I went to the clay course or I went to the field, my dog training, like whatever it was, like with a whole new level of confidence. And I could just see the results in it. And so when you own the life that you're living, so there are people that settle, right? So we settle, sure. We live in frustration. It's like, we really wish we could do something else, but we can't take the risk. Or, if you're caught in a certain part of life and it's not the time to strike out and go dream chasing, that can become resentment and cause other issues within your life and with relationships that should be important to you and things like that. And so we literally got personal, and talked about how do you live life to the fullest? And I applied all of that to my shooting career, and it made me mentally tough. And so we go through life and sometimes we're mentally tough, but we're still frustrated and we're tough because we have to be.
Sure.
Different kind of tough, Then
was all that built into what he was teaching you and going through this with you? Was that kind of just happen naturally, or was that like a part of his program?
It's a part of his program.
Okay.
I think because of my level of commitment, I might have got more than the average student, but I was absolutely addicted to it. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to learn this so that I could turn on and give it away to somebody else. Like I loved it so much. I loved waking up every single day feeling like I'm so excited just to be the best that I can be. Like, this is what I'm going to go do. I'm going to be the best that I can be at it. Right. So now you see a lot of this stuff on when you're scrolling and you see a lot of memes or quotes or whatever, sure, about positivity and being yourself and entrepreneurship and stuff. But when I started, it really wasn't out there like that. So I just ate it up. And so I wanted to learn. I didn't want to learn to make myself better. I wanted to learn to make myself better so that I could turn around and give it away.
That's awesome. And I know you mentioned your kids a little bit. And so, with them kind of just seeing all this happen, did they just kind of naturally gravitate towards hunting, the outdoors, wing shooting? Or was that what did you do on your part to intentionally invest into them, into these different aspects?
Well, JC was a little older and she was already horse crazy. So she traveled all over showing her horse. So there was a lot of times that I was dragging bird dogs to horse shows. Like, she shot on a youth team, an SCTP team that Demas and I started back in Georgia. And she would hate it. Every Sunday it was like, we have to drive 3 hours to practice every Sunday afternoon. Well, she was like 15 then. And then she went off to college, right? And she could shoot better than all the boys. And she got invited to go on all the hunts because she's the girl that's really good. And then I'm getting the text messages, thanks, Mom, for teaching me to shoot like this. And then it was, thanks, Mom, for teaching me about the outdoors and habitat and conservation because I want to do this for forever. And so she's actually going to spend the summer with the Congressional Sportsman Foundation and do her internship in DC. And she's looking at wanting to like go work with Ducks Unlimited for a career and all these people that took me in when I first started and I didn't know anything have mentored my child and have really brought out the best in her. So she's really, really close to my coach too. She comes home from college to see him more than she does me, but yeah, they shoot and he takes her out to some fancy meal and then she goes back. But it's really special, like to have him in our lives because of what he has brought to us and that it wasn't just for a short season. Like we got to keep him. So the things that he's instilled in us, he gets the reward of watching us go out and use it and share it. And so that's a really special relationship that we built with him. And then of course, Tater just got drug along since, she was born. We gave her a BB gun and she carried an empty BB gun for forever until she was safe with that. She got to load it and then she got to shoot clays with us and then she moved up. And so, she's shooting her own birds now and, she's about to turn 8 at the end of the month and, she's got her own dog and yeah, we just all have our own role in it. Yeah. Like she really fell in love with hunt test because that could give her true independence. So you can't turn the 8-year-old loose with the gun yet.
Sure.
She goes shooting and she enjoys it, but the kid has sat back and watched everybody else have fun her whole life.
Yeah.
So this summer when we're like, okay, it's your turn. She just didn't even need us. Like she had been waiting so long to get loose that she had no problems walking to that line and running dogs and this was all brand new to her, but she excelled at that. And so right now that's her big jam. She's already planning bigger things for next summer because that is her level.
And she's 8.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she's 8. So, it was really cool to watch her this summer. She was running even a new friend who's a trainer in Alabama that we met up here in Wisconsin, running a hunt test. He let her run a dog right off of his trailer and she went another pass with that dog. I'm like, holy smokes.
That's so cool.
But that's another thing about being a handler. You get access to so many different dogs. She doesn't understand what she's learning every day.
Oh yeah. You're going to see different dogs, different personalities, breeds, all that.
Right. And being raised under this training program, it's been insane, but she's addicted to dog training because the Smiths, with the Hunt Smith program, have been very good friends of ours since we started. I have to say, Rick just, I think he pitied me. And so they have just always been so kind. And then Susanna and Ronnie, well, actually, Rick, I said, Rick, I'm going to Oklahoma for a horse show. I really need to just do some bird dogging while I'm out there. And he says, oh, just call Ronnie. Just tell him you're coming over. I'm like, I can myself to their house. He's like, oh yeah, you can. So anyways, like he put me in touch with them and Susanna and I hit it off and their twins are Hallie Joe's same age. And so the kids hit it off. So it's been really fun. Well, she used to watch their videos every night to go to sleep. Most kids watch cartoons or Disney. No, I said, listen, I love them, but I don't want to hear rock
all day long.
Tell you like, whoa, or, some other thing. I want to turn my brain off at night and take a bird dog break. bed with it.
Everyone needs a little rest.
Yeah, for real. And so they've given her lots of cool opportunities to be on stage with them at Pheasant Fest and stuff over the years. So she's felt comfortable in it because she didn't know any different.
Sure. That's kind of what she was raised in, though.
Yeah. Yeah. So she just runs with it. So the joke is I'm going to enjoy the time I have because eventually I'm just going to be her chauffeur.
Let's get into the dog side a little bit. Tell me, did the dogs come because you wanted to run more of these competitions or because you wanted to hunt more? Like how and when did you start building this string of dogs that you have and why?
Okay. Well, like we said, I was the worst hunting tournament hunter ever walked the face of the planet in the beginning. And I realized if I only had one dog, I only had one chance. Okay. And so you got to be a good shooter. You got to have a good dog and you got to have good luck. Like you got to have all three. Okay. So I was like, well, one dog's not enough because I need a heck of a lot of luck right now. So I ended up with another dog. And then the dog training thing, I think just spun off of being a horse girl. You know, there's a lot of women that are in the dog world that come from a background of horses. And a lot of the training methods and the mentalities overlap a lot. So it just came real natural. And I wanted to have the freedom to be home with my girls. And so I was like, well, this just fits. We've traveled with horses for 10 years and now like the dog thing's catching on. So let's just roll with that. You know, I loved it. I love genetics. I love the science behind all of it and the lifestyle of it. And so it was really easy for us to commit. So it was out of necessity and it was out of already having an interest in the same type of life. Okay. So that's really how it happened. And so I have to say, like, the next dog didn't help me very much. It was going and taking that break and going through the sporting clay world and becoming a better me. A better me is what has made me a better tournament hunter. Now, granted, my dogs they got way better. And then having access to Mike's dogs changed my life. And what is so hilarious about this that we haven't even talked about, I promote these labs like they walk on water. Always a lab fan. And so it was hilarious because I started hashtagging short hair snob for forever. And I was down south, right? So
because that was your first dog, right? Was it short hair?
Yeah, my first dog was hair, and it's like a cult. Okay, the short hair world is straight up cult, and I loved it. I was like, we're gonna wallpaper the walls with the dogs, you know. And so I never gone duck hunting or anything like that. So I'm like, why did everybody want a lab? Like my dad was always like, a lab's my favorite dog. I'm like, well, you're never even gonna have a dog, so. You know, we don't want one of those labs that just lays around. And then, you know, the short hairs have so much character and the lab doesn't. Well, I've never even really been around one. Sure. I'm opinionated. Okay. And so it's hilarious now to see how funny life is and the turns that have taken.
Oh, sure.
Where I am right now. And so we laugh about this all the time. So I went from straight up short hair snob to hashtag happy hypocrite, like over. So I ended up coming to Wisconsin for the first time 2 years ago. And I was going to host a ladies hunt and a blizzard came and it got canceled and I got stuck training here. And this whole time I was like, I never really found the training method or the kennel that was in my mind. Right. So sometimes we have a dream and we know what that end game looks like. We know what we want to be. Right. So Demas had coached me and was like, you're a warrior. You're a champion. I've built you to do this. Like you can do anything, hardcore stuff. Right. Sure. But what the heck does the middle look like? I'm a winner, you know, like I've won. But he held my hand through that process of building me the first time. So I was like, okay, well, sometimes you don't know what you don't know. Sure. Okay. Well, this time I knew exactly what I didn't know, and it was a heck of a lot. So I was like, well, this is not going to work. Like, I can't just strike out. And at that time, I didn't have the facilities that we have now. So it wasn't like I could just be like, I'm turning the farm into a bird dog facility, and this is what's going to happen. I was having to like piece things together. And right when I thought I had the answer, it would fall apart. And it was a roller coaster. So I'm really getting tested with the information that my coach has given me, right? So I was having to build myself. It's one thing to learn something. It's another thing to put it in play. So I was doing that and riding life. Like, okay, you get to the point where you're like, oh my gosh, I finally am going to make it. Like, I'm going to get the answer. This is going to happen. And then your knees get cut off. And you're like, oh, nope. Yeah,
nope.
Here we go.
Start again.
Yeah. And so I just remember my dad saying, listen, the winners are the ones that don't quit. That's it. He's like, you've already proven yourself. You know what your skill sets are. You know what your strengths are. You know what your weaknesses are. So understanding what your weaknesses are too helps you build your team, right? So like, you're not responsible for everything. You just got to know who you need in your life.
Sure.
So I'm like, okay, so I know all my weaknesses are. I got to find that person. Okay. So then I'm like, okay, God, you better send me these people because I don't know what to take to fight them. It's my weakness, right? So my dad's like, you just can't quit. You just can't quit. Well, then I'd build something else up. And then, oh my God, here goes. My knees get chopped out from underneath me again. I'm like, what in the world? But you don't realize when you're in the thick of it, that when you're starting over, it's aligning you on a path to be where you need to go.
Sure.
Right. So even though you feel like you're starting over, you're still on higher ground than where you started.
Yeah, totally. Because you learn something from that experience and
right. And
makes you better.
It's hard to tell somebody that when they're in the thick of it.
Oh, 100%. They're not going to listen to you. That's for sure.
Right. And so luckily I just had built this relationship with Demas where, you don't always take that advice from your parents that well, but when God sent you a person in your life going to help you, you can receive that information so much easier. And so because of him, and because of my dad's voice, I just didn't give up. I didn't give up. And so that's why I tell you, my story isn't anything special. I just had opportunity and I just walked through it. So here I'm in Wisconsin and I'm stuck at this trainer. I'm stuck at a lab kennel, first of all. I never thought that. And I've got my short hairs here and a blizzard happens. And so I can't even go home. I don't even trust myself to go to the grocery store, I've never driven on roads like this. It is culture shock for me right here. But
because you're living, so real quick, you're living in Georgia at the time, right? Still?
Correct.
You were just up in Wisconsin. Gotcha.
I still live in Georgia.
Okay.
I guess I'm mostly here now, but part of time. So anyways, I'm here and then I get thrown into this training program every single day. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I could talk to you for hours about what that did for me in the enlightening moment of all the pieces of the puzzle. Like I said, I had these big dreams and these big goals. And I'm like, gosh, it's just so overwhelming when I don't have all the answers and I don't have all the people. Right. So I know what my weaknesses are, but I don't have anybody to feel them or to coach me through that and stuff. So needless to say, I got a full education about a whole new life here with the lab life and a training program that made so much sense to me because it was practical and it was for a dog that is a companion dog. These dogs are rock stars and there's trophies everywhere. There's trophies everywhere.
Yeah, as I see them.
You don't understand. There's trophies literally everywhere here. And it's like I told you, it's not because somebody is good. It is because luck fell in that day, but dogs are really what carries it. Our only responsibility really is just shoot the dang bird,
Right. It's not much.
As long as the bird's there and the dog finds the bird and you shoot the bird, you're going to have a pretty good time. So, that it's that simple. It's not always that simple, but essentially it is.
Yeah.
That's what you plan for. So I'm just looking around and I'm like, this is the legacy I want. This is what I want to be able to pass on to the girls. I want us to have this line of dogs that bring so much joy into people's life. And these trophies are wins. They are wins, but each one of them tells a story. So every single cup that I have, like the one behind me, it's not about the cup. It's not even about the time. I don't even know what the time is, but I'm never going to forget the journey that I had with that dog to get to the point and the goals that I set.
Yeah.
Right. Because I'm not competing against anybody else. When I'm bird dogging, and I run a lot of different dogs and we're limited on how many dogs we can run. So a lot of times I'm switching out dogs. I set my goals based on the relationship that I have with the dog, the level of the dog, and how that dog's a challenge for me as a handler, right? So luck could fall in our lap. Yeah, and we could win, but that's not even like my mindset. My mindset, how do I win with this dog in my standards? Like, I want us to walk away with a bragging run. And that doesn't necessarily mean that that's how it's going to fall on the board.
Sure.
Right. And so, because it's a personal growth thing for me, that I wanted to be somebody, like, I didn't want to have my one dog that was the champion of everything and everybody just glorified that dog. It was more of a personal thing for me to say, I wanted to be able to run multiple dogs. I wanted to be a really good handler. Yeah. So that had been my goal instead of having that one dog. Well, then I realized, like, my travel schedule doesn't really allow me to be the best dog trainer that I could be, because I can only haul so many dogs. And so therefore, like, when you look at business, then I can't have the numbers to really be profitable and all this stuff, because I can only haul so many. Sure. And so I had to go back and I'm like, okay, well, then I'm going to look at the breeding thing, and I'm going to make sure that I put out genetics that allow people to win, give people the best hunting companion they could ever have, and give them the best house dog they could ever want. Like, I want that triple threat dog, you know, and that's what I have. And so once again, like, God threw something else in my lap, I got to go share it with people, you know, don't keep it for myself, just like the information that Dima's put in my life. And so that's really like the essence of our breeding program. And I don't really advertise my puppies, because normally, like, they're gone before.
It doesn't make sense to advertise the pups that are already gone.
Yeah. So I had a litter earlier this year and stuff. So it's like, it's amazing how those things just happen, and how you just are sent the people that you're supposed to connect with or whatever through the dog world. That's really every single day I come home and I'm just amazed. I'm like telling another full circle story about how you won't believe this person put this person, and then all of a sudden this happened, and I've been praying about this, or like whatever, is like all it's full circle again. And you would think I would kind of get used to it, but I'm literally
God surprises us. He surprises us when we don't listen, and he's like, hey.
Okay, so let's take the little side trip here. So Adam, that you did a podcast with,
Adam Freeman,
like maybe one of your first ones.
Oh, Adam Peck.
Yeah. Well, he now is my photographer. He and Jake,
nice,
my marketing, and let me tell you, he's the one that started the whole full circle story.
He's a real deal. He's awesome.
2 weeks ago, him and Jake came and stayed with us, and we had a blast. And it was like every down moment we had, we're sitting here telling full circle stories. This is no joke. He lives 30 minutes from me.
Oh, no way.
No way. And we met through blood origins and connected in Wisconsin. How crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah.
So, you know, I just eat it up, and I never take it for granted. And
that is wild. So that snowstorm up in Wisconsin you were talking about, the time you were stuck at the lab kennel, is that right. So is that what gave you the idea to start your own kennel and everything? Right. So I got to do the dogs, because you're not even going to believe this. Okay. So here I'd been like the worst tournament hunter. I'd gone and built myself up as a clay shooter, found my confidence, realized like what my end goal wanted to be. However, you know, that comes with a lot of variables too, because we build our dreams or whatever, but our path don't always run straight, you know? Sure. So we're still going to have a curve. We're going to get a lot of blessings that just surprise us. Sure. Okay. So that was a whole nother thing. But if Mike didn't say, I said, listen, I haven't been able to shoot nothing. You know, there's like 6 feet of snow on the ground. Like, I'm up here. I'm not leaving until we get to do something. I came up here to hunt. Well, he said, I got a tournament at the end of the week. Why don't you just stay a few more days and go run a bird dog tournament? I said, no way. I hadn't done that in years. I was like, oh my God, my heart started thumping. I said, oh, that rush just came back. Right. And I was terrible. I mean, I had placed, you know, a few times, like third, second. I never won before I transitioned into clay shooting, but I'd gotten my feet under me where I had confidence in getting in the field. I was not still, you know, not hitting birds or whatever. Sure. Well,
he said, okay, well, you can run my Winnie dog. She just won Worlds. I'm like, okay. And I was like, what did I just commit to? That is a lot of pressure. Why did I do that? I've never watched a flusher field. Why am I going to go run a lab? Oh my gosh. Like, but that week I did fall in love with Ackley, and that's when I met Ackley, and she's become like my little heartthrob, and she changed my life. But Winnie happens to be Ackley's mom.
Okay.
So there was no backing out now. I had already committed, and I was not going to tell anybody that I was like wigging out inside, right?
Of course.
In a snowstorm with knee-deep snow and 5 degrees outside and 40-mile-an-hour wind. Because, of course, I'm trained for that kind of weather.
Everyone has, right?
I got this. So we go out there, and I watch fields all day long, and I'm taking notes of where the birds are planted, and I'm just taking in as much as I can because I've never done it before. And if we didn't get out there at the end of the day, they threw me in at the end of the day. So it's getting dark. And that makes it harder to see everything, Okay, so here the Georgia girl is, and this freezing cold weather, all my Carhartt clothes on. I couldn't be more bulky, right? Go to the field. You know what this is when you're experiencing.
It's like the kid from the Christmas Story.
To top it all off, I don't even have a hunting vest on. I have a Carhartt vest on over probably 2 sweatshirts and several layers of pants, probably a couple pair of socks, like look like the little toddler, that
Yep.
That was me with my quail vest on. Okay. I've got this really nice butter type leather shell bags with a bird bag on the back that you just zip off. Okay, well, I don't know nothing about a chucker. We shoot quail. I'm from.
Yeah.
So I get out there. Okay. Not to mention that my previous organization ran 3 birds. Well, this is 5. So now I got to find 4 bigger birds and add 2.
And add 2 more. Why not?
Okay. So on the pointing world, your dog stops, you got time, all this stuff, you've got time to reload your gun, put your bird in the bag. The dog it's going to stop when it gets there. Well, lab life ain't like that. This dog does not whoa. Okay. I'm like, what in the world is going on? So this was the only advice Mike gave me. He said, this ain't no pointer. Get your gun ready, girl. And that was it. I was like, okay.
That's the advice for the whole thing.
The whole thing. I'm locked and loaded, and I hit my whistle, and there she goes. And I'm like, okay, the only thing I can do is keep up with this dog. That. I got to keep up with the dog, and I got to hit my birds. It's like, okay. So we're out there just trucking it, right? And we end up taking second.
Dang.
I said, oh my gosh, I am so hooked. I'm so hooked. So I get back, and he's speechless. He thought the yuppie girl with the fancy clothes on from that plantation life and her hats and all this stuff. No way the girl can shoot. And here I'm out there with my new 20 gauge. I drove over to Purcell Farms in Alabama at Orvis, and I'd had a lesson over there, wing shooting lesson, and I tried this gun out, and I just fell in love with it. They're awesome. So if you get down there, you gotta swing by there. It is a gorgeous place. You don't want to miss it.
Cool.
And just literally came up here. So here I am, like whopping.
Brand new gun.
My 20 gauge, brand new gun, whatever. Like, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Sometimes there's a little luck in this game.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I got an extra dose that round. Well, so I get back, and he's like, oh my God, well, you're going to run her at nationals. I'm like, I got to go to BDC for a tournament under the bucket list from the South. You know, I was like, I'm there. I was like, oh my God, what did I say?
What did I just agree to?
Yeah, I did it again. And we went and we won, and then I was hooked. So I started showing up for everyone, and then I was up here. And so
is that when you started getting interested in labs and getting labs in that, or?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Because you were still short hairs before this, right?
Right. And so now I've got both now.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just love it.
That's awesome.
And we run them both. We get out in the grass woods, and we'll run, our flushers through one time. We'll get our pointers out and run them, and we'll do the same thing when we get to South Dakota and North Dakota this week. So does the Smith method? So do you follow the Smith method for your pointers and flushers, or just your pointers? So the Smith method is just for the pointers.
Okay.
And some parts of it that I do, I will not say that I follow it to a T.
Okay.
Working with Mike, he up here, he was doing some other things. And so we just kind of created like our own little spin on things.
Nice.
But we're not going to say that, like, it's one of those things where there's more than one way to skin a cat kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
The level of dog, I guess, that we're producing has a different purpose.
Sure.
So like I work with some breeders and trainers down south, the Rick Hopkins and Brenda Rowe, and they run all AKC stuff, and they are amazing. Like, you want to talk about short hair legends. They are incredible, the things that they've done with their genetics and stuff. I mean, it just blows my mind. So they're my short hair heroes. So I spend as much time with them as I can. But Rick's given me so much advice, Rick Hopkins, about the short hair life, because the game that I play doesn't need a finished dog to that kind of level, right? So I don't need to get Master Hunter on my dog because it's going to be way too steady for the game that I play. And so, you know, not that my dogs couldn't go do it. It's just not the purpose that I need.
Yeah. The goal that you have in mind is different than there's no need to go, do certain things.
Right. So when you learn about those things, then you become less judgy of people with certain dogs. It's like, okay, well, just because it doesn't have that doesn't mean that it couldn't have it. It's just they choose to live a different life. Yeah.
Whatever you're working on, whatever you enjoy is going to be different than the person down the street.
Yeah. I'm so grateful that these people don't judge me because I don't run those routes, because I really love my culture that we live in. I mean, it's like we're like rodeoing with bird dogs. So the cowboys that are like these hardcore ropers or bull riders that are just hopping from rodeo to rodeo, living on the clock and all that, that's what we do.
There you go.
Essentially, it's exactly what we do.
Yeah.
And
are you running it with both pointers and flushers?
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy. In some tournaments, I run against the boys too. And so it makes for an exciting schedule. Okay.
Are there women divisions and men divisions or?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So, well, not men's divisions. There's like an open division. So in the BDC, it's Top Gun. And then they have a puppy division too, but they also have a ladies.
Gotcha.
So ladies separate. And so, yeah, that's how that works.
Are you seeing more women getting involved in this kind of like competition side and stuff and handling dogs? Has it grown, do you think, over the years?
I don't really know. Maybe so. Like, maybe not necessarily in the BDC, but in the UFTA, I do believe that there's a massive growth on the female side. I think where women had stayed at home and their husbands were doing it, now they're going too. So that's been a really cool thing to see a lot of couples out there doing this together.
Oh, nice.
And then as for the handler stuff, I would say there's definitely more younger females getting their own hunting dog.
Okay, nice.
And I think that is just so cool. So tomorrow night, this is one of my most favorite stories of now. Yeah. One of my clients who brought a dog that was an oops litter and looked like a lab, but we weren't sure exactly what it was, right? Okay. She wanted to be a bird dog, and it did have drive and it did have some promise. So we put it through the whole thing. But in the end, it really didn't turn out to be the dog she wanted. Yeah. But she wanted to be a hunter. And she dated a guy that got her involved in it. And then they didn't work out. She says, well, I'm not giving this up. I'm going to do it even if I do it on my own.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're going to figure this out. We're going to get you the right dog. And what people don't always think about, new hunters, the best advice I can give a new hunter, and I know this was one of the things we want to talk about, was if you can start out with a seasoned dog or a started dog, like not just a puppy, right? A dog with some experience, you're going to be able to focus more on yourself, and the dog is going to teach you so much.
Oh, that's good advice. I've not heard that before, actually.
Nobody really wants to think about that. Everybody wants a puppy phase, and everybody's so worried that their dog's not going to bond with them or whatever. And that's just not the case. The dog at any age is going to love the person that takes care of it.
Yeah.
And so we're having this conversation, and she's like, well, I kind of knew this was going to happen. Stella, oh my gosh. Like, she said she was going to get me a shirt that says I survived Stella. and I mean, it was semi the expectation, but she wanted me to try. And I'm like, okay, we'll try. But she just wasn't the firecracker because, she wasn't bred to be
sure
a diehard bird dog. And so in the midst of all this, you want to talk about full circle story. A buddy of mine is a short hair guy. He was actually the president of UFTA for a long time. He said, I've got a kennel full of dogs and I would like to find a home for some of my older short hairs. If you know of anybody looking for a trained dog, let me know. I said, holy smokes. Yes, I do.
Yep.
So I called him. I said, before you commit to anybody, call me first because I have a perfect match. Yeah. So I wasn't able to go with Trixie up to Clay's to get this dog. And I really hate that I wouldn't, because that would have been such an amazing moment. She gets the dog. Well, this past weekend on Saturday, she took the dog to the preserve back home that I've started all my puppies at, that I've started in Georgia. Yeah. And she went hunting by herself.
Dang.
With her own short hair, with this pointing dog. And they planted 12 birds and she brought back 7. And she said, I literally just set a goal of shooting 1 bird. She was so excited. And instead of her being like, well, I don't have anybody to hold my hand or I don't have anybody to touch me. Yeah. She's like, heck no, y'all get out of my way. I'm figuring this. My dog are going to go have a good time.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just so excited for her because she got a dog that was ready and that could teach her so much because she's so new, right?
Yeah.
She
didn't have to spend all that time, focusing and worrying the puppy phase and teaching and all that. Like you said, could focus on herself and her own experience.
Yeah. She got a puppy. She wouldn't even be out hunting this season. She'd have lost a whole season.
Yeah.
So I called her the next day. I said, well, how'd it go? And she said, well, me and Rumor are sitting here over at the brewery right now eating tacos. So like this dog is her best friend. She has a short hair that has lived a kennel life, that has been a true hunter. She's traveled all over the country hunting. Now the dog at 6 years old has become a house dog, like a spoiled brat dog, She has spoiled this dog to pieces and is hunting for her and is going out to town. Mm. And I love that story.
That is so awesome.
So much. Yeah, that's what it's all about.
I love that. You could not have summed up that question any better. Cause I love asking every guest of just, hey, what's that piece of advice you'd give? And I think that story just encapsulates a lot.
I know. I'm so bubbled about it. So tomorrow night we're going live. So Trixie can tell the whole world about, a dog got her into this world and she set the expectations, but she didn't give up because the dog didn't meet her expectations, right? Like it just didn't. And so that's another thing about understanding genetics. And we were talking about like what makes a great dog versus a good dog. Oh my gosh. Like we'll probably have to have a whole nother.
No, that's a whole nother, but I am curious about that. If you have a couple minutes. Okay. So I've been around enough pointing dogs where in my mind, I can generally point out different traits and qualities of pointing dogs. Flushing dogs, when it comes to hunting, I'm not familiar with. So can you specifically talk about that a little bit? Just on.
Well, I'm going to tell you that there's going to be a little bit of difference, because of the points. That is a skill and a natural ability, but overall, you're looking for the same things.
Okay.
Because what you're looking for is intelligence, different levels of intelligence. So, and one thing that Mike and I were talking about earlier today, because I told him you'd ask this, and I said, man, why don't we record our kitchen conversation? They're so good. And then you try to recap it and you never get it right.
No, of course.
But the intelligence that comes with certain genetics, and one big thing that we were talking about was, having that natural ability, which turns into trainability, which turns into reaching potentials, what levels of potentials are you going for? And not everybody has the same expectation, right? So people have a different expectation of what their champion is. And judge that around here. You get what you want. And the dog that you send us is the same dog you get back, but better. Right. And so it come here, it doesn't go to like an academy or, that is like our training. It's not always fun. Like there are days that are serious,
sure,
but we really try to train in a fun, playful atmosphere where half the time the dog don't even know it's learning.
Sure. It's like, oh, this is cool. I like this.
And you can create those environments once you've created those genetics. So probably 80% of Mike's clients are his own genetics because he's been doing this for 10 years, and so that was a super big goal for me. Because I wanted to have that consistency with the dogs that I produced. Yeah. The only way to do that is to say, okay, well, I'm going to commit to my breeding program and I'm going to maximize my training ability to meet these genetics, right? Because that's how you really reach the potential of understanding it. And you can't do that with just one dog. Sure. You can't learn everything just one dog comes through here, right? And so for people that are wanting a dog, you need to go find the trainer that shares the same mindset with you. So you almost build your plan backwards. Go find that product that you want, who bred it, who trained it, and go from there. Sure. Because ask questions, whatever, that's how we talk about for people to find their perfect dog. Okay. So that whole natural ability, trainability talks about genetics. But one key thing that I've learned and witnessed that sets dogs apart is bird intelligence. And, you hear people throw around, well, that dog's got a nose, that dog's got a nose. And you automatically just assume it can sniff out a bird. Yeah. But when that dog is running through the field and it cocks its head so that it's in the wind and it does that automatically, and you see this, the dog's identifying certain parts of habitat of where it consistently finds birds. Yeah.
And it's putting itself in the best position to say, hey, if I do this, it's going to help me. Yeah.
When you can, and that's part of being the handler, that was a big goal for me, is to be able to read these minute little bitty details that separate a good dog and a great dog. And that just gets us all kicked here.
Oh yeah. You could talk about that for a long time.
Yeah. And so we could talk about that for hours, but essentially I've seen that so much and Run and Winnie, and we've won a lot of really cool titles, but it isn't about those cups, but those cups are going to be something that stands in the house somewhere. And I never forget that moment. Sure. I never forget her belling me out. One time, I swear the dog was in the field, was going to trap a bird. The bird almost got away. She let all four legs fly out like a pancake. And she just laid right on top of that bird. She wasn't going to let it get away. And she reached her head right under her belly and she brought that bird back and she brought it right back to me, and I'm like, she's taking care of me. Yeah. She did that for me. You get a dog that's not hunting for itself, that's hunting for you. And you create that bond and that team effort, it'll change your life. I mean, I got a short hair and she's a pain in the butt, and someday she hunts for herself, and she's not paying attention to range. And I know she's been trained for range and not checking in with me, or, I'm having to tell her more than once, or, one thing, you can tell a difference once you've experienced it. Sure. But if you don't know to look for it, you might miss it.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause like you said, they're little nuances, they're little things that it takes time to develop that skill almost.
Yeah. But man, it is so cool when you get some dogs that really are at such a high level of intelligence and they can think for themselves, but yet they are there for you. Yeah. Yeah. That's really cool. That's pretty freaking awesome. Last question before we go into the rapid fire, which we'll end on. Okay. With client dogs that people will send you, based on what they want, are you going to train differently in your approach with those dogs? So say someone wants and says, hey, this dog's just going to hunt pheasants in South Dakota with me a couple times a year. Or they say, hey, I want to do AKC Master Hunter, or whatever their goals are. Are you going to be training differently, or is it generally the same process, what you're doing with these dogs? Okay, absolutely differently. If somebody comes to me and they say they want an AKC Master Hunter, I'm going to give them a different number, because that is not my world. I am an upland hunter, and those would be my clients, so if you're going to train for titles, then you need to be with a trainer that's going to handle your dog through that or has tons of experience and success with that, you know?
Yeah.
And so and I'm thinking of the short hair world, right?
Sure.
I'm not titling short hairs.
Sure.
Now I do have plans of running my personal dogs through hunt tests just because last summer was super boring for me sitting on the sidelines.
Sure.
One summer and I took pictures, I did all that, but I told him I'm not doing it again. Like, I'm not going to be a sandwich snack maker all day long. I'm going to get my dogs out there too.
There
and it
go.
was so, Tater was talking about it tonight and she was like, well, Mikey V, we're probably just going to have to drive 2 trucks next summer, you know, because he'll have his crew on his trailer and I'll have to have mine. But
sure.
I think she's thinking of running more dogs than actually me getting involved. But yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, cool. Let's go through rapid fire section. I tell everybody, give me your short off the cuff answer. If you need to explain it all, that's okay as well. So we can go a little longer, but what gun are you carrying out into the field with you when you are upland hunting?
Well, I've been shooting the Rosini round body 12 gauge in the tournaments.
Okay.
It's been well, yeah.
Okay. Nice. That's great.
Yeah.
Favorite dog breed besides the short hair and lab?
Okay, this is a no-brainer.
Okay.
And it's taken every ounce of discipline I have to not get another. But the Westie is my all-time favorite little dog because they have
Westie.
Yes.
Okay.
I had one.
I've heard. I'm not gonna lie. I've heard of a Westie. I don't know if I can picture one in my head right now.
It's the cute little white Caesar dog with the perfect little hair and.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, they just have a fierce little heart, and they're
awesome.
So smart. Yeah, but
That's
I
awesome.
swear, the other dog that needed a groomer.
Oh, I'm sure.
That poor dog always looked like a pig. I mean, it was.
I'm sure that's a pain. I'm gonna make it a little tougher for you.
Okay.
Short hair or lab?
You know, that is not a fair question.
I know. I'm gonna see if I can get an answer out of you.
If you want to know what dog I have with me more in the field and off the field, I will tell you it is a lab.
Okay. And are these British labs or American labs?
No, these are American.
American. Okay.
These are up machines.
Okay.
Run all day. They have no quit. You literally have to put them on the trailer or they will run until they die. Like they have no quit. Yeah.
That's awesome. I see a picture of one. Is that a yellow lab behind you above your head?
Yeah, that's old Winnie girl. She was laying right here for a little while. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. A couple more. Favorite bird to hunt?
Ooh. Okay. Well, I haven't been able to do as much this year, but boy, do I love grouse hunting. I feel like it is quail hunting on steroids, being in the woods. You've got a swamp coming up and just the rush of riding dirt roads and hopping out and walking a pass through the woods and getting out and stopping dogs and doing it. I've really, really enjoyed that.
That's awesome. And when you say grouse, we're talking rough grouse, right? In Wisconsin?
Yes.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. All right. What, I don't know how to word this question right. The most clays you've hit in a row, or most clays you've hit consecutively?
Okay, well, I don't know because it's been a long time since I shot clays, but I will tell you that I went to a Quail Forever event in Arizona with the Quail Forever chapter there in Phoenix, and they have a tournament, and I did hit a perfect 25.
Nice. That's real good.
What I remember.
Okay, that's great. It's more than me.
It's not thing that I ever kept up with because in my mind it's one bird at a time. One bird at a time. One bird at a time. You think, oh my God, I just hit 50. Well, you're gonna next one.
Sure.
It's one bird at a time.
Love it. Love it. If you could choose a solo hunt with you and your dogs, a group hunt with some good friends, or I'm going to throw this in there last minute, or a bird dog competition, which would you choose? And why? And tell me why.
Well, I mean, I would probably pick, out of all of my favorite memories right now, a group hunt, because the time that I spent with the guys on Gun Dog TV, I mean, that is hilarious. You know, when you're out there with guys with their own dogs, and every dog's trained at a different level, and every personality, and every hunter out there has got a different personality. I mean, you can't beat that kind of camaraderie. And then let's see, it was last year in grouse season. We went up to grouse camp here just around Tomahawk, and we had a blast. Like, we just had so much fun. JC was up here and hunting with us, and just our friend group. Yeah. We just rag each other all the time and just have so much fun that it's hard to beat that. It's hard to beat that and then go back to camp and eat, you know, Casey's Pizza or something. I mean,
ooh, Casey's Pizza. I remember that.
Yeah. What bird hunter? Casey's Pizza.
Oh, Casey's is the bomb. All right, last one. Beverage of choice after a hunt.
Oh, okay. This is confession. I am epic failure at packing the cooler. It is like, oh no, the last thing, the last priority on the to-do list, right? And so I would have to say, it's going to be whatever somebody is passing out.
Good answer. Good. Whatever someone else brought.
Oh my God.
I like it. That's awesome. There was one trip I know, it was a couple of years ago. I packed the cooler with ice, nothing else. It was just ice. Forgot drinks, all the cold snacks, all that good stuff, but we lived.
Oh yeah.
We lived. Well, that's awesome, Anna. Hey, how can people stay in touch with you if they have questions, maybe on dogs or training or wing shooting? What's the best way for them to connect with you?
Instagram at Anna V Outdoors. Okay. And we've got some new stuff coming up. We're going to put out some really cool content now that I've found, like I told you, I found my team.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Origins and the guys at a field media, and you know, we've got the dog team going, and we're staying on the road. And so there's a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes that we are busting at the seams to put out. So those things will be coming out in the next, 6 months or so, if we even wait that long. And, yeah, I mean, I just hope people feel like they can just ask. I get crazy questions from husbands asking about how to get their wives, or, a guy asking about his girlfriend. How do I get her out there? I want to get her an outfit so she feels confident to get out there. Or, heck, I'll get on the phone, or, I've done that in the past too. Sure. And walk through the proper gun fit, and, just use as a community to get your answer. You can get out there and do your own thing. That's really it. So, yeah. Cool. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to relive memories, because you get so busy and caught up on your to-do list. Sometimes you got to take a pause and think about the whole journey, and really like, man, I haven't been doing this my whole life, but I feel like I've had a whole life full of memories,
That's a good sign right there. That's a good sign. Well, Anna, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate getting to know you more, hearing these stories, hearing these memories. You get to relive a little bit. And I can't wait to see what else you put out.
Thank you. That's something to listen to while we roll down the highway.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Anna. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, that is a wrap of episode 28 with Anna V. Anna, thank you so much carving out some time, chat with me, just give us a glimpse into your story, and just to hear your passions for bird dogs, the outdoors, conservation. I really, really had a good time chatting with you, so thank you once again. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this episode, would you please share it with a friend? Share it on social media, your stories, Instagram posts, whatever it might be. Would love it. Would appreciate just helping spread the word of this show. It's been so much fun to be doing these every week with you guys. if you have any opening content suggestions, so if you want to hear me ramble about a particular topic, shoot me a message on Instagram. Let me know. Would be happy to give you my thoughts on whatever it might be: gear, dogs, hunting. I'll leave it very broad for you, but fill in the gaps. Anyways, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your week. Have fun, be safe, and remember, if you can't hunt with or own a Brittany, any bird dog is better than no bird dog. Go put some miles on those boots and have fun.